Back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Lee Sanders with you guys for this Monday night of November 3rd, 2025. Oh my God, I cannot believe November is already here. We only got a couple of more weeks to go, and then the next thing you know, that's it. We're ushering in 2026. I got to tell you, this calendar year has really, really gone by extremely fast. And I know for our longtime listeners, you guys have maybe heard me say that repeatedly. And I don't know, it might be going kind of slow or slower for you guys, but no, for me personally, it is going by way fast. I don't know if that's a good thing. I feel like things this year, different projects and all of that. I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to make sure I slow it down a little bit so that I can enjoy the ride and everything. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, especially if you were out there Halloween weekend. Maybe you were with those little pikes, those little ones going out there doing the whole trick or treat and everything. Or maybe you were getting together with some friends and family, however you did it. Hopefully you had fun, it was safe, and everybody made it out in one piece. That's the most important thing. So look, as far as tonight's show goes, we are going to do a abbreviated version of our Monday show. Normally, when it comes to our Monday night shows, y'all know this, that's checked out the show these past several weeks or months. I like going all over the place on our Monday show. But I am keeping in great consideration that I've got an exam coming up on Wednesday for my government class, and I've been dedicating all of my free time to making sure that I am as prepared as possible. So what we're going to do for this week, just this show, we're going to just strictly talk Raw Fallout. And then I'm thinking once I'm able to get past that exam coming up on Wednesday, I will gladly do a bonus show for you guys. And I was thinking about it. I actually have no problem doing a bonus show for you guys where we can go a little bit more all over the place Friday, especially giving the news that we had got from tonight's WWE Raw. It's actually kind of a little bit of a extra incentive for everybody that's going to be like, oh, Lee, you're going to do a Friday show? We'll tell you more about that in just a hot little bit. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for tonight. Oh, yeah, hey, before I forget, I wanted to mention this at the very top of the show. If you guys did not already, make sure you show love and you check out this weekend's Wrestling with the Topics. We dropped it on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Go check it out. Now, normally when it comes to that particular series, it's just live audio. You hear myself and you hear Tams. But Tams going into this past weekend show, she said, we haven't done a visual show for the folks in a while where they can actually see us. Why don't we switch it up? I said, well, okay, if that's what you want to do. And I tell you, after the show was over, she said to me, Yo, I had a lot of fun doing that. It added a whole new aura to the show in a good way. I felt a little bit more lively. I felt a little bit more pep in my step. Maybe we should do that more often. I said, yeah, that was actually pretty good what we had did. And she said, well, I tell you what, why don't you poll the audience? And whatever they decide, we can try and stick to that. I said, okay, all right, sure, bet. So there's a poll up on our YouTube channel right now. And if you head on over there, head over to the post section, you'll see it. It's the only thing that's going to be up there for all of this week. And I'm going to say polling will stay open until next Monday. But your feedback, very important. I made it simple for you guys. 3 options. Your first option, please, guys, I need to see more shows like that. Your second option, keep it the way you've been doing it. And then your third option, alternated every other episode. So make sure you go and you vote for that. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that and everything. And it was nice to finally, I tell you what was really the best part, just how everything, not only how everything had worked with the show in general, but I love that I had sat down about an hour or two prior to the show and I was deciding, oh wow, what am I going to do for an overlay? Oh wow, what am I going to do for this, for this, for this? And I got to say, I'm quite pleased with how everything had turned out. Again, if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out the web stream when you're done with this episode and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So, tonight's WWE Raw came to us from New Mexico. I was not aware that there is a 2 hour difference, at least for us over here on the East Coast, 2 hour difference. So Raw began for them at 6 in the evening, whereas 8 o'clock for us. I wasn't aware of that. Some nice, fun developments, of course. We're coming fresh off of the Saturday night's main event from over the weekend where CM Punk was crowned the new World Heavyweight Champion. And if you're keeping track at home, that now means that CM Punk is now a 7-time WWE Champion. But wait, there's more. It's so interesting when you go back and you look at that Saturday night's main event show in general as it bridges the gap for tonight's Raw. The fact that there was no interference in any of the matches, the fact that there really virtually was no nostalgia factor whatsoever, a lot of which we had outlined, and it was just straight up matches, just going right to the in ring action. I'm sure that for a lot of people, it made them feel as though maybe they were watching some type of a PLE. I don't know if that was the desired effect by WWE, but it was to some degree a welcome breath of fresh air and everything. So going into tonight's Raw, knowing that Survivor Series War Games is less than 3 weeks away, we got CM Punk as the new World Heavyweight Champion. And as I always like to say, yeah, the chase is better than the catch. But in the case of CM Punk, I mean, he just makes it all interesting, even when he is the World Heavyweight Champion. But he's got such a big old bullseye on his back, as now officially the hunt is on, and he is essentially the prey. I loved how the show had opened up with Punk out there in New Mexico and everything and giving his flowers, not just to the fans, giving flowers to his wife, AJ, and letting it be known that AJ was there with him, standing right beside him in good times, bad times, and good times again. Uh, Letting it be known that everything that has come to date would not be made possible without AJ, but most importantly, without the fans. And then we hear him go through, yo, I want to be a defending champion. And I don't care who it is that I got to be taking on. Bring them on. I welcome all newcomers, any and everybody. And I love the fact that Punk went out of his way to personally single out guys like Dominic Mysterio, who, as we all know, that's paying attention to our social medias. We're following some of our favorite wrestlers. We know that Dominic and Punk, they stay trading social media insults left and right. And it's kind of one of those, yo, why is this feud? How has this not translated over to TV yet? What's going on? I think it's just a matter of time. But it was nice hearing Punk give a verbal mention to Dominic Mysterio, also giving a nod to JD McDonagh, who it's so funny, not funny. But look, Punk's got two eyes of his own. He's seeing any and everything that's going on. But no, seriously, for all of us that's been watching WWE these past several months, I know I recently said at least 2 weeks ago that as far as the dark horse of the year, the male dark horse of the year, the workhorse, definitely JD McDonagh. He should be winning that. I can't wait to see when we get ready to open up the Lee Sanders Wrestling Awards, which is going to be back, and it's going to be back with a vengeance. I cannot wait to see how people vote for that one, because just to kind of put it in the back of you all's minds right now, and I'll mention it as it gets closer and closer, but the way we do those wrestling awards, we don't do like some sites and we just give you names and you choose from there. No, 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 no. It's pretty much an open-ended question the way we set this up. And I basically sit down, I tally up all the results, and then it's basically a people's choice. Is you, the people, you guys voted. So I loved it. So any and anybody can win, and it's been that case for the past couple of years. But yeah, JD been busting his ass big time. It's one tough son of a bitch, man. I gotta tell you. So it's nice hearing CM Punk mention him. Also mentioning wanting to link up with Finn Balor, AJ Styles. Realizing that AJ Styles, he's pretty close to retirement and everything. Even mentioning John Cena. That was definitely pretty buzzworthy to hear that and everything. And before anybody asks, before anybody puts that question out there, as far as this whole potential story that's running around about John Cena, maybe he might win the Intercontinental title and then ultimately drop it to Gunther. And I don't know how I personally would feel about all of that. I don't think that's even going to be the case whatsoever. I'm telling you that right now. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. But would it be nice if John Cena's final opponent was some type of a fresh new face, some type of a newcomer, somebody that we know is going to be a impact player in WWE for years to come? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a shadow of doubt, that would be nice. I have my own ideas as far as who I think it should be. We'll talk more about that later on in the week. Logan Paul coming out there pretty much hearing, yo, Punk is willing to take on any and all newcomers. Remember, we hadn't seen Logan Paul in a good minute. We hadn't seen him since Clash in Paris. That's how long it's been. So I gotta tell you, I honestly forgot this guy was still part of the WWE roster. I'm not gonna lie to you. I totally forgot. And that is despite the fact that what is it, LJN, the new toy line. I know they brought back those WWE legend figures and all that. Logan Paul's got his version running around. There's a Hulk Hogan version. What other versions they got running around? I think there's a John Cena version that's running around as well. There's about like 3 to 4, maybe 5 different figures that's running around and everything. Uh, that was some nice little back and forth banter going on between Logan Paul and CM Punk. Punk saying, "No, no, 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 no." I know I said I was going to be a defending champion, but like, no, no, no. No, no, anybody but Logan Paul. No. So it's kind of nice how they were going back and forth there. Logan Paul, though, say, look, some of the people that CM Punk had mentioned he wants to lock up with, Logan has had the fortunate pleasure of beating them. So if anybody deserves to jump in front of the line, he should be that guy. Well, cue up Paul Heyman and the Bronsons. They pretty much begged to differ. This pretty much had set up a really heated confrontation where the Bronsons were demanding that both guys end up leaving the ring. There was more vitriol on Logan than there was on Punk. Punk saying to Logan, look, the only way we're going to be able to, overcome this, we can either fight each other or we could fight them. We could join together, join forces, fight them. So kind of seemed as though maybe, just maybe, there was going to be a little bit of a brief alliance here. Logan Paul decided he was going to dip out. And Bronsons were having their way with Punk. Shortly afterwards, Logan kind of fighting, kind of kicking himself in the ass. He decided, let me go ahead, help this dude. So we actually saw Logan Paul run in there, try to help out. He got his ass handed to him for a good little bit. Punk eventually recuperating, grabs a steel chair, comes to Logan Paul's save. And that pretty much was the end of that. Later on, Punk runs into Jey Uso. Jey letting him know, hey, saw everything that had played out. I know you're the new World Heavyweight Champion. You got a target on your back. So regardless if it was you, or if it was me, target either way. Punk questioning where exactly Jay's head is at and who exactly is he talking to right now. And Jay let him know, no, you're talking to main event Jey Uso. Hey, I want to help you with this problem that you got. What do you say? Punk kind of wondering if he could really trust Jey Uso, but Jay's doubling down, letting him know he's got his back and everything. As far as he's concerned, what had went down on Saturday night's main event, that's in the past. The better man won. It was a straight up one-on-one contest. That's it. So Punk said, yeah, okay, cool. Let me get my gear. Talk to Pierce, see if we can make this match official. We got that for our main event match. Jey Uso, CM Punk taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed for a little main event match to close out the show out there in New Mexico. Great crowd, by the way, from that New Mexico crowd. Actually, had loved that crowd. Pretty good. So I'm trying to think. That match actually ended on a count out. Yeah, nobody won. So referee pretty much had to throw that match out. Just anarchy, just all over the place and everything. Now, going towards the end of this, we did see Logan Paul make his return. And it was kind of interesting how all this had went down because Punk and Bronson Reed, they kept fighting around ringside. Jay, he wasn't too far off as Jay and Punk, they eventually double teamed on Bronson, set him up over on the announcer's table, laid him up. Punk recommended to Jay, yo, won't you go climb up high, do a Uso splash, crash into this dude. Jay's like, okay, bet. So Jay's getting ready to set everything up, and then bam, out of nowhere, gets speared by Breaker. Breaker then tries to turn his attention to Punk. Punk manages to fight him off just a little bit and everything. I believe at this point, Bronson Reed had recovered and all that. Action kind of goes. Let me see. Yeah, Punk recuperated a little bit, but Breaker and Braun, they pretty much negated Punk, focused more of their attention on Jey Uso. They set him up real good, set him up for a devastating spear from Breaker. I mean, the way that guy moved, Breaker moves so goddamn fast, man. I mean, it's almost like you're watching tape in slow motion. But there's times when you're pausing or you're just hitting that slow speed 1, slow speed 2 or whatever. And Breaker can still just defy speed, like regardless. It's just crazy. But yeah, they laid out Jey Uso. Tsunami had followed. Punk then rolls back into the ring. He's got a steel chair. All right, so history is pretty much repeating itself from earlier in the night. But this go round, the Bronsons were prepared. They said, yeah, nah, we ain't having that. They actually went under the apron, grabbed some steel chairs of their own. They got back in there. Looks like there was about to be a face-off here. CM Punk with the handicap, unfortunately, against the Bronsons. Logan Paul running in there. Brass pair of knuckles standing right beside CM Punk. Looks like everything is all evened up. Next thing you know, Logan Paul cold knocks out. CM Punk just lays his ass out. Fooled the fans, fooled everybody here. As Logan just stared down at Jey and Punk, stared on at Heyman and the Bronsons, hands Heyman his knuckles, his little knucks, and it pretty much just ended like that. So you're going, wait a minute, Logan Paul and Paul Heyman, like, what are we watching here? Are we watching maybe a new additional member here to this Heyman stable, or what is the mindset here of Logan Paul? Because the Bronsons and Heyman verbally obliterated him earlier in the night, and yet here he is knocking out CM Punk. And I'm trying to make sense out of it, and the only thing that makes sense to me, just a tiny little bit, is the fact that Logan Paul ultimately, and it's real simple if you think about it. For those of you that's wondering, well, why would, it's real simple. So when it's all said and done, Logan Paul, against his best judgment, actually went to the aid of CM Punk. And how was he ultimately rewarded for that? Was he ultimately rewarded for that by, gee, I don't know, the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk giving him the proper respect and going to Jey Uso, hey, look, that's great that you want to team up with me and everything, but it's only fair that I go to Logan Paul and see if he wants dibs. And if he don't want any of it, then sure, we can team up, we can do our thing. So, there's your simple argument right there that Logan Paul just ultimately felt disrespected. And that's why he did what he did to CM Punk and everything, right? And then it could also, because there's a lot of things there that could be true. It's multi-layer. There's a lot of things that could be true. Logan Paul could also tap into the whole, yo, man, what is this, 2012? Like, the new WWE, it's all about the future. It's about, guys like Bronson Reed. It's about guys like Braun Breaker. It's about guys like Logan Paul. It's about the future of this business and the direction that it's going. And baby, the future is looking oh so goddamn bright. Logan Paul could also be tapping into that as well. So I think both things can be true. So it'll be we'll see come next week just how close I am with my thought process on that one. But I strongly believe that's definitely the direction that they're trying to go in on that. Yep. Now, of course, we kind of see here what's going on with Jey Uso as well, as far as kind of what's next for him and all of that. It's interesting because Paul Heyman, before this main event match, he did have a few words privately with Jey Uso. And he's like, so, what's going on here? Trying to understand, why are you teaming up with CM Punk, the same man that you had faced at Saturday night's main event? Like, Roman Reigns wouldn't have done that. To which Jey Uso goes, well, look, I'm not Roman Reigns. I'm not my brother Jimmy. I ain't, connection. You were one of my favorites when we were doing the bloodline. He's like, but now that I know exactly where your headspace is at and everything, like I'm not going to be able to keep holding these guys off. Now they are simply in a on site. They beating that ass. It's like so you keep that in mind. Do what you do. That pretty much was the message and everything. But he definitely let it be known to Jey Uso, yo, I see that you got a vision of your own, and I like it. I respect that. So kind of interesting what you got going on there with Jay. You can't help but wonder though, is Jey Uso's motives, are they truly sincere? Or is there more of a is there more of a underlining that's going on there with Jey Uso? Hang on a second here. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Let's find out what's going on with the connection here. What's going on with the connection? Hang on here. That was kind of weird, guys. For some reason, the connection had interrupted. I don't know what was going on with that, but we're back. I think the last thing I had said was, yeah, it's interesting how. Um, hang on here, guys. Just want to make sure everything's on the up and up okay. Yeah, we seem to be okay. I don't know what was going on there. It was kind of weird. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, so Jey Uso, his own man. But, you can't help but wonder if there's more to the story with Jey Uso. Because on the one hand, we kind of have a good idea now, essentially what's next for Jey Uso. I can't help but wonder if Jay is going to be in this tournament for possibly John Cena's send off. I can't help but wonder if he's going to be part of that whole mix, or if no, definitively the direction that we're going to be going in right now is war games, and like CM Punk, he forms a war games team. Logan Paul, and just the timing of Logan Paul, if Logan Paul, the Bronsons, Heyman, if all that is just everything, just a setup for war games. Could be a lot of different things that's going on with all of that. Talk about some other stuff that had happened. Speaking of Cena, let's go ahead and talk about Cena right now, because many of you guys know, and I'm going to reveal some fun news for you guys as well. So, in regards to John Cena, so as we know, there's going to be a 16-man tournament that's going to kick off next week. Raw, Boston, Massachusetts. John Cena makes his return, and it'll be nice to hear from him, and I'm sure he's going to be on commentary for maybe two of these matches that's going to be playing out. But for the Raw side of things, we now know the first two matches we're going to be seeing for this tournament. As get this, Rusev will take on Damian Priest. That should be a badass match, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is going to be the first time that those two guys will lock up. I gotta double check the match history notes, but I think that's like the first time those guys are going to be locking up. And then also Nakamura will face Sheamus. Now, the continuation of matches will be announced on this Friday's SmackDown. Nick Aldis is going to make the announcement for the two matches that SmackDown will have the following Friday. So that's why I told you guys we're going to be coming on Friday after SmackDown is off the air. So nice little continuation. We'll talk some SmackDown, and we'll definitely go all over the place on that show. Remember, supposedly we're going to get guys from SmackDown, we're going to get guys from Raw, we're going to get guys from NXT, and allegedly we're going to get guys from maybe other promotions. And I remember when I was bringing that up on our Saturday night's main event post show, I said, yo, does that mean like TNA, or is it possible that might mean New Japan? Is it possible that might mean, and I know already we got people that's going, oh, this means that Chris Jericho and what was the other name I saw running around? Edge, Adam Copeland, still under contract, those guys. And then the Jericho situation, particularly, allegedly Jericho's contract is up in December, but we don't know specifically when in December it's up. So I don't know. I don't know. And then here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Is that really how you want to? You feel where I'm coming from? Are you really gonna set it up so that John Cena's final opponent is Chris Jericho? I'm not seeing that. I think it's definitely going to be a a fresher face, a younger face. Again, we'll talk about it more on Friday, but that's the direction I'm heading in. Speaking of older heads, young heads, we saw a little bit of a clash on tonight's Raw, where Dominic Mysterio was out there celebrating, boosting over the fact that he retained his championship from Saturday night's main event against Penta and Rusev. Proclaimed himself to be the greatest luchador ever. To which this prompted his deadbeat dad, Rey Mysterio, to come on out there. Rey telling Dominic straight up, look, if you want to say you're better than me, like, I really don't care what you say about me. Like, it's whatever, dude. But coming out here saying that you're the greatest luchador of all time, yeah, I got mad issues with that. Like, so you're better than Blue Demon? Like, you're better than Psychosis? You're better than Eddie Guerrero? And I love how Dominic, right on cue, he goes, don't you dare bring up my dad. I love that pop. I popped so hard, man. I love that. But yeah, no, he was like, hey, to answer your question, yeah, I definitely consider myself to be better than all of those people. But there's one name that you had left out, which is you. And I'm definitely better than you. To which Rey Mysterio says to Dom, okay, look, I'm certain of three things. One, long as I'm around, you're never going to be the king of the luchadors. Long as I'm around, like, this will never be your ring. Long as I'm around, you're never going to be the greatest Mysterio. To which Dom tries to get in a cheap attack. They start brawling. Ray gets the upper hand, head scissors Dom into the ropes, sets him up for the 619. It connects. Ray looking good, man. 50 years old. He looking good. Coming out there still doing it and everything. So we'll see how much longer Ray can last physically in that ring. I'm hoping he can, because honestly, man, especially now that WWE has this great partnership and everything, they acquired the Triple Mania promotion and all that. I would love to see, before Ray hangs it up, some really damn good, cross collaborations, cross matches, and all that. So, my fingers are crossed for Ray, and then not to mention, man, it would just be such a real smooth transition for him. Once his career is over as a wrestler, I personally would love to see him just easily make that transition on down there to AAA, working with Conan and everything. You know, do that 1-2 punch and all that. So, but yeah, my biggest takeaway from that whole segment definitely was, not only is Rey Mysterio back, but as far as physicality goes, yeah, Ray is definitely back. Now, how soon we're gonna see these guys lock up, that remains to be seen. I would be shocked if something were to go down come Survivor Series War Games, but I'm not seeing it. I honestly feel at this point something, either the next AAA event or December Saturday night main event is like the earliest we're going to see all of that go down. So keep you guys have that in the back of you all's head when you're thinking about that. I can't wait to hear more of the names though for the John Cena 16-man tournament. Just kind of circling back to that. I'll keep you guys posted, but I reached out to a friend of a friend that knows a friend. I wish I was kidding you, but no, literally that's how it went. And it's possible. It's possible they're going to see what they can do because I know WWE, they're no longer granting interviews to podcasts and all of that. But we may have found a little bit of a area where, well, wait a minute, we might be able to get around that. I'll keep you guys posted, but with WWE coming out here next month, it's possible I might be doing an interview with someone of WWE because my friend that knows a friend and that friend knows a friend. Basically, the way the conversation kicked off between me and my direct friend was, "Yo, I know you're not going to the joint next month, but dude, like, would you at least be interested in trying to see if you can get an interview?" I said, "Yeah," I said, "but they coming down hard. They're not doing anything with podcasts, it seems. They're more interested in doing stuff with major media outlets and all that." It's like, dude, but you're a journalist. Like, yeah. It's like, okay, so just think about that for a second. I'm like, okay. He's like, so you might not be a journalist with a major media outlet, but you in your own right have your respected connections. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, my friend was like, you work for like how many papers connected to your school? I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. He's like, uh-huh, uh-huh. I was like, okay. And so my friend was like, let me hit my boy up. Who knows? And so it's early. It's still early. We're trying to see what can happen. So keep your fingers crossed. Cause I can tell you this. I know as far as the RCWR show goes, we're blacklisted. We're blacklisted. We didn't do anything wrong, but from what I understand, we are blacklisted because WWE looks at us as the type of media that is. And I had a friend tell me very close ties to WWE. I had a friend that told me this a long time ago, like years ago. Basically, the way WWE, like, they're aware of me. They are aware, and I would imagine they would be when we've been doing the show as long as we've been doing it. Brought in the type of viewership, downloads, that we have brought in the past and everything. Yeah, we probably are going to be under quite a few people's radar and everything. From what I understand is, yeah, he's good at what he does, that Lee guy, but we don't control him. And since we don't control him, basically they dubbed me as a loose cannon because they're not sure what direction I might go with my lining of questioning and all that. So basically, I'm not safe media. So when me and my friend were talking earlier, he told me straight up. He said, if you're gonna do this, unfortunately, it's like you can't go in as the podcaster. You can't go in as Lee Sanders from the RCWR show. He's like, no, instead, you're actually going to have to go in as a journalist major. You're actually going to have to tap into your student journalism and do it that way. I'm like, that's true. It's like, yeah, and you're going to have to circulate that interview that way, like no RCWR show branding at all. I'm like, okay. He's like, are you good with that? I said, yeah, I'm good with that. He's like, are you sure? He's like, cause that could hurt your ego. I know, dog. I'm like, no. I was like, no, I can. He's like, okay. So keep your fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. If you were to ask me who would I hope I'm able to land an interview with, It's a long shot. It really, really is. But it would be nice to get John Cena. It really would be nice. But I don't know. I don't know. I have a second one that I did mention to my friend to basically pass along. And we both are in agreement that the second pick is more likely. It is more likely. I'm not going to tell you who that person is, but to give you a little bit of a hint, get you guys thinking. And if you post in the chat, I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to say you're right, you got it. Nah. But what I will say is the other person that I'm thinking does have ties to the DC metropolitan area. That much I will tell you. Some other stuff from tonight's WWE Raw. Let's talk about some of the in-ring action. We got a little bit more in-ring action that came about. Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella teaming up to take on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. We were talking about Dark Horse again. It's been the main theme like the past 2 weeks now. Roxanne Perez pulling out another tight ass performance here in this tag matchup and everything. I enjoyed this. Of all the matches that we had got on the card tonight, which by the way, when I'm really taking a step back and I'm thinking about it, tell me I'm lying. But this was definitely a heavy oriented tag team edition of Monday Night Raw when you really stop and think about it. It really was. So, but like of all the matches, the women's tag match between all these girls, Steph, Nikki, Raquel, Roxanne, I enjoyed this one the most. I'm trying to think who had walked away. It was Raquel and Roxanne that picked up the win in this matchup. And kind of interesting because we later found out that Raquel Rodriguez is going to get a women's championship match against Raquel Rodriguez. And I had to take a step back and go, wait a minute, this makes no sense. How is Raquel getting the title shot opportunity? That doesn't make sense. And let me explain to you, for those of you that didn't watch, like, okay, how it doesn't make sense. Because in the final moments of this matchup, after Vaquer had did the Devil's Kiss on Perez, I think she then tried to go for the cover or something. Something had happened. I guess maybe Nikki might have been tagged, or maybe there was like some. Everybody was just brawling with one another. But I do remember Nikki Bella getting a roll up. Raquel breaks it up. Roxanne ended up getting the advantage. She hits the pop rocks on Nikki, and boom, that's how they win. Like, so you hear that and you're like, well, wait a minute here. So Nikki pretty much costs, oh, wow. Like, okay, well, the champion didn't get pinned, but still. And yet Raquel Rodriguez is the one that gets the women's title shot. Like, that kind of logic really did not make any sense to me. Now, I tell you the way that this could have been rectified. I would have loved it if, remember how for long periods of time, Roxanne Perez was trying to do everything in her power to show the Judgment Day, yo, I'm cool, man. I'm down with you guys. Look at all this cool stuff that I'm doing for you guys. She used to bring Dom all kinds of nuggets, just, all cool little peace offerings, right? What I think really would have been cool would have been if Raquel would have been chilling in the little Judgment Day treehouse, little camp, and maybe she's icing her shoulders or her back or whatever, and Roxanne could have came in there, hey buddy, how you doing, let me take a look at that, and Raquel could have been like, nah, I'm good, really, I'm good. And then Roxanne could have said something along the lines of, hey, I got something that'll make you feel maybe a little bit better. I just had a conversation with Adam Pearce, and he really liked what we had did in that match, and he try to give me a shot at the women's championship. And, I actually said, nah, I said, you actually should get it. You really been stepping your game up. And, I know it took us a good little minute to find common ground and all that. And just kind of my way of letting you know, I appreciate you trying to work with a sister. I think if they would have done that little fine touch of detail, that really would have smoothed things over, because you look at what Roxanne has been doing week in and week out. And, when you hear, well, wait a minute, there's a women's championship match next week, but it ain't Roxanne, it's Raquel. No disrespect to, Raquel, because Raquel's been definitely stepping her game up too, but just the way that was all laid out was definitely pretty funky. Later on, Stephanie runs into Nikki Bella. Nikki tells her, hey, seems like I'm not able to really keep up with you girls. I'm just really losing my confidence. I'm really questioning my placement here in the company, questioning why I came back, if I really belong. And Stephanie gave her a serious pep talk, letting her know, no, it's not like that at all. You're being too hard on yourself. You really helped pave the way for us, and just want, and just look, just turn this girl heel already, because that's what Nikki Bella does best. Like, seriously, that's what she does best. I'm not feeling this whole baby face current run that's happening with her. I really am not. Now, you can smell this a mile away, but I think the real question is, are people legit going to care when Nikki does turn on Stephanie? I don't think so, but hey, stranger and crazier things have happened. We'll see. Meanwhile, we had Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. They were in a tag match against the Kabuki Warriors. Kabuki Warriors picking up the W there. Actually, a decent little tag match for what that was worth. Post match, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, the current women's tag champions, they were trying to get a little bit of retribution for what had went down last week. Well, remember the Kabuki Warriors came out getting in a cheap attack on them and everything. Kabuki Warriors rolling out just in the nick of time. I'm thinking about Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch made a brief cameo. She pretty much was talking hot trash on Maxine Dupree. She's livid over the fact that Maxine Dupree is now getting all this social media coverage, which honestly wouldn't have been made possible if she didn't get into the squared circle against the man, and pretty much said that Dupree was very lucky that she lasted as long as she did against Becky Lynch, but promised that the results are going to be much different the next time they lock up. So, kind of interesting that the way this was last set up. Remember, Maxine Dupree said to Adam Pierce, she pretty much had to do some soul searching, talk to a few people, but that when she was ready, when she felt she was, more than ready, that she would let Adam Pierce know when she wanted that rematch. And Pierce was like, yeah, it's whatever, anytime. Nice that we got Becky Lynch still coming out there, keeping that whole match, that rematch out in the forefront. Remember what I had said too. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had said, well, you got to get that rematch out the way before the Royal Rumble. So do you maybe have these two lock up at Survivor Series, or do you have them lock it up at Saturday night's main event? I kind of feel as though maybe Saturday night's main event is where they're gonna go now. Sound off. Let me know what you guys think, but I definitely feel that's the direction they're gonna be heading with that one. So that's that. Let's not also forget we had Penta going one on one against Grande Americano. And by my notes, this was the only singles match on the card for tonight. You heard me right. The only singles match on the card for tonight. Bit of a bit of a short match right here. Probably the shortest match on the entire card for the night and everything. Mexican Destroyer picks up the W there for Penta, and that was despite the fact that Penta was fighting off Rio and Bravo, who were coming up on the ropes there. I know the referee had definitely ejected them. Grande Americano even was able to slide in a metal plate in between his mask and all that. He was ready to freaking use that bad boy, but Grande ended up diving into a Penta super kick that ultimately set him up for the Destroyer picking up the win. Fun little singles match right there. But yeah, this was definitely heavily tag team oriented for this edition of Monday Night Raw. Might be a welcome good change of pace for those of you. Because, I mean, look, when it's all said and done, when you look at all of these different tag teams, especially the cameos there by the women's tag champions and all that. You're kind of reminded, wow, not for nothing, but as far as tag teams goes, wow, we've got some really great tag teams. It's got some good pieces for the tag division. We just got to make sure that we're paying it forward and really building up these respected divisions the way that they should be built. To my point, too, by the way, JD McDonagh and Finn Balor teaming up to take on AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. I'm trying to think if this was a non-title matchup or if this was for the tag titles. This was for the tag titles. I'm thinking back to what was advertised from last week. This was definitely for the tag titles. Dominic Mysterio came out there trying to help out. It's actually came at the advice of Roxanne, Perez, and everything. Backfired like a mofo as Sheamus came out, pretty much knocked his ass over and everything. Was beating the hell out of him at ringside. Uh, Dragon Lee, meanwhile, he pretty much sets up a nice, pretty dive as he crashes onto. Trying to think here, Dragon Lee. Yeah, I think he crashed into JD and Finn Balor. AJ ultimately picking up the victory with a Styles Clash right after a phenomenal forearm on JD for the win. So nice little title defense. Nice little title defense for them. Good stuff. Just trying to think. Anything else from tonight's Raw that kind of really stood out to me for tonight? Um, Besides the fact that AJ Styles is getting bigger and bigger, I'm just looking at this guy, his arms, just everything, and I'm just going, man, this guy can still bounce off of the ropes doing Styles clashes, phenomenal forearms, and all that craziness. Like, what the hell here, man? It's crazy seeing him doing all that craziness. Like really. I'm enjoying the team of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, though. They seem to be clicking. They're growing on me. They're definitely growing on me. Um, I'm not a Logan Paul fan, but I do find it very intriguing what we got going on with him now connected there with Paul Heyman and the Bronsons. Definitely some interesting setups that we got going on here. Solid work all the way around from all the men and women for this show. But definitely the biggest takeaway, the tag matches that we had for tonight, relatively pretty solid. Made it very digestible to watch as far as I was concerned. I would have to say this was slightly above average episode. I'm willing to go like a 7. I don't know if I really want to go a 7.5. I'm willing to go 7.25, but definitely pretty solid episode. Let's see what you guys had to say about tonight's WWE Raw here. Let's see here. Oh, what's this about? Oh, okay. I don't care about that. Let's see. Look at the poll here. So far, I am seeing a tie at 25%. Half of you felt it was an average show, and the other half of you said it was a thumbs up show. I'm seeing 50% of you giving the show a thumbs down. It's the polling results I'm seeing right now over on Twitter. So interesting what's going on there. Let me just hop on YouTube real quick. And in case you guys are just now tuning in, I had mentioned it at the top of the show. If you have not done so already, make sure you check out the latest and newest episode of Wrestling with the Topics. We got the stream available on the YouTube channel where you get to see me and Tams in the flesh. Normally, we do live audio for that one. And you already know I stay popping up, but like very seldom does Tams make an appearance, a physical appearance. And this go around, she did. After you check out that show, make sure you go vote on our community post section, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on post, and then you'll see our latest poll. Go make sure you cast your vote. Helps me out big time as far as figuring out future program and how we need to schedule it and all that. All right. And then the hell is that noise? I don't. That must be wind. That has to be. Wow, that wind is really kicking the trees right now. Thought I heard something kind of tumbling down there. I'll have to check that out after the show. Hey, before we get ready to dip, want to take this time out to remind you guys that we are brought to you in part by friends of the show in justmovieposters.com. The holidays are here. Don't let your walls be blank any longer. Head on over to justmovieposters.com for awesome movie posters. Transform your space, show off your fandom, and banish the bareness once and for all. Justmovieposters.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at JMPosters. They're also on Facebook at justmovieposters.com. Make sure you spell out DOT and COM when you're trying to follow them on Facebook. Otherwise, you ain't going to get nothing. We're also brought to you in part by TerraPaulPremium.com. Wake up your senses with bold flavor and smooth vibes. Terra Paul Premium brings you top-tier coffee and teas crafted for people who love quality, energy, and most importantly, good taste. From rich blends to chill herbal sips, they've got your daily fuel covered. Check them out, TerraPaulPremium.com. The RCWR show with Lee Sanders is also brought to you in part by iwanttolearnsql.com. Your next pivot in tech begins with a solid query. Whether you're starting from scratch or upgrading your data skills, trying to build reports, the way these guys make learning SQL, they make it practical, they make it approachable. Most importantly, they make it fun to learn. So check them out. I want to learn SQL.com. Last but not least, we're brought to you in part by our friends over at the IMEI radio station, your global soundtrack featuring the best indie artists and today's top 40 hits, underground favorites. Tune in, vibe out, discover your next favorite track. Get to listen to great music from not just the US, Europe, Canada. Check them out today, streaming 24/7, the IMEI radio station. Speaking of music, I got to give a major shout out to Brandon Shaw of the YouTube channel Digging the Greats. He did a phenomenal 4-part series called Mixtape. I watched every episode. I sat down and watched them all with the wifey. and she thoroughly had enjoyed it, and it was just so nice. Me and her just going down memory lane, talking about our mixtape, cassette tape fandom, and everything. Apparently, Brandon's gonna be releasing the mixtape soundtrack that's available for pre-order right now. I believe it's going to be dropping November 29th. And the way he's got it set up is really, really cool. So he's offering an analog version of a cassette where basically the analog version, it's got a USB adapter. It's in the shape of a mixtape. And you pretty much can put that into your computer or into your phone. And you can pretty much listen to the music that way, download it, all of that. And then he's got the traditional, hey, you want to listen to this? The only way you're going to be able to listen to this is on a cassette player. So he's offering two ways that you can basically. I'm actually going to get both. I got to be honest with you. I've been kind of itching to get back into cassette tapes. And true story, I actually have MF Doom's Doomsday album in shrink wrap for CD, but I also have the cassette. So I'm definitely, yeah, I'm itching. I've got a few cassette tapes running around and everything, so I'm definitely trying to get back into it. But I will be reviewing that album by Brandon when it gets closer to the release date. So if you're a little bit on the fence, just keep it right here. I'll definitely have your hookup for that. All right, as far as programming notes go, I again will be with you guys on Friday, November 7th, 10 p.m. Eastern, as soon as SmackDown goes off the air. So join me for that one. We'll definitely dive into the latest SmackDown Fallout, go over some more names that are announced for this John Cena tournament. On that respected episode, we will reimagine the John Cena farewell tour. I'll give you guys my overall grade ranking for how Triple H and crew have handled the John Cena tour up to this point. We'll even talk a little AEW, some TNA, some NXT as well. So we'll be going all over the place. Hey, for those of you that have been impacted by the government shutdown, please, as you guys get ready to go to bed, or of course, I'm doing this at the time where it's nighttime on the East Coast. But word is that there may be a vote on Tuesday to get everything back up and open, and maybe that resolution will last until you know late November. May sound kind of silly to you guys, but at least this makes sure that no more people, especially those on SNAP benefits, are going to be hurting and wondering how they're going to be able to put Thanksgiving together and all of that. But word is that there's supposed to be a vote tomorrow, Tuesday, November 4th. I don't know, but y'all keep your fingers crossed, right? I know I'm definitely going to keep my fingers crossed and everything. But yeah, Friday will be your next edition of the RCWR show. And I gotta see what's happening with Tams as far as this week goes, because I know she said, as far as wrestling with the topics, she doesn't want to do Sundays anymore. Sundays was originally really, really good for us, but we have a friend of the family that is gravely ill. And a lot of times, my mother-in-law will come up on Sundays, and she kind of wants to, spend time with Tams. And so we've kind of had to like adjust on the fly at the last minute. So I know she's toying around with the idea of, maybe we could do Fridays, or maybe we could do Saturdays, depending. So I got to get with her and find out what is she thinking as far as that goes, because I know she doesn't want me to be in a position where I'm doing two shows in one day, like not unless it's a pay-per-view day or something like that. So I don't know if we're going to be doing a wrestling with the topics this week, but I do know for a fact Friday, November 7th, you guys will definitely get a bonus show. So tune in for that. And on that note, my pretty babies, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. You can also follow me all throughout social media, the same handle. If you guys are just now tuning in, we're not going all over the place like our normal show. That's because I've got a exam. That's because I've got an exam. Wait a minute. No. You ain't got to do it. There you go. I don't know why I was doing that. That's weird. Like, I didn't even activate tracking and zoom in. That's kind of weird. Anyway, no, I got an exam for Wednesday, so I'm trying to dedicate all my free time to studying, catching up on that. And there's some readings I need to catch up on for some of my classes as well. So that's why you're getting an abbreviated version tonight. So sorry if this episode is a little bit short, but we'll definitely make it up to you later in the week. Okay? But hopefully this was quite enjoyable for you guys, right? I mean, doing about an hour plus. I mean, that ain't too shabby, right? Especially if it means you get to go to bed at a decent hour, like I'm about to do. Until next go round, my pretty babies, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys next go round. Take care.